Welcome to the Community Hotline, presented by 88 Real Estate Media, for the community, by the community. I'm your host, Bob Fang, and today we have Desiree Nicole Lester.
That's my full government because, hey, you just got to put it out there sometimes. I'm an educator, student, coach, wellness coach. So, yeah, I think sometimes it's important to let people know how they can call on you.
I love it. All right, well then, let's get into our first topic of the day, which is money.
Money.
Tell us, Des, what is money?
Money is abundance. I mean, I think it's a material world. When you're tapping into the material world, you kind of, you've got to have some means. For me, I know that something that my mom would always say to me as a kid, she's like, kid, you got to learn to live within your means. And I'm like, what does that mean, Mom? And I'm just like, that's something that she used to say to me that used to just really stick with me. I'm like, all right. And that in the moment, it meant to me when I feel like I don't have enough, to really tap in and see what I do have and be really grateful for it, so that I can invite what I think I need into my life. Being grateful, I think that's, when you feel like you don't have something, always look at what you do have, and then, more and more and more will come through. Abundance. Yeah.
Amazing. How would you say money has changed for you since you were in high school, or your understanding of money?
When I was in high school in particular, I was always used to working. So, I think I was more free with my money. I think I would I would just spend it on my friends, give it out, buy the latest whatever. And now I'm a lot more intentional with where I spend and how I see my dollars go to work. I want to see that they're coming back to me. I want to know who they're going to. I want to earn residual income. I just, now I have literacy in a way that I did not have as a kid. I was just spending money on my friends, that'll make me friends. I'm like, nah, I want to spend something. I want to spend something that's going to keep spending on me too.
Where do you think most of your money goes?
Well, friends, really. I would just spending on my friends. I'm going out with my friends. As I started to grow up a little bit, that started to change for me. And I was like, well, how do I really make investments with my friends? We're not just friends. We work together, and, we're collaborators, and, really just adding those intentions behind addressing the fact that, hey, we're not friends. We're becoming collaborators. We work together. We we get this done together. So let's call it what it is. I think that's, that's a big piece of it.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? I don't think people can differentiate between friends and collaborators and lovers, and it just gets all mixed up. And
it can get all mixed up. And so this is, I think for me, this is what I started to look at. I said, what are my skills? And whenever I feel like I use, whenever I'm on social media, that was my thing. I was like, whenever I'm on social media, I want to be paid, when I'm doing it, I'm working for an organization or a brand or something, or a media company or something like that. You start to make non-negotiables. This is one of my payable skills. If I'm with my friends and I'm using these skills, I want to be paid for it. And I think that's something that you start to say to yourself as you get older. If you decide that's what I do for work, and then you start, but if it's hey, making music is my hobby, that's a hobby. That's not something people are really gonna pay me for, not yet. So right. I just feel so that might be something that in a friendship I'll look for, and start to just realize where your non-negotiables are, where you're activating them, where you're activating your payable skills. So then you can really look and say, hey, am I friends with these people? Or are they getting some kind of benefit from me or from the relationship with me that, I'm not acknowledging or even valuing, honestly.
That's powerful. When did you come to that realization? Was there a specific?
I was 25. So, and then you have to put it into practice, and then you start having those hard conversations with your friends, and then see who you can make it through with,
Yeah. Do you have a personal experience that you'd like to share with that helped you, get into that?
Being kind of stressed out, my sophomore year of college, I was super, super stressed. I was in this space where, I was always the one to help my friends, and it was exam time. and I was failing. I don't even remember what course I was failing, but at that time I was really distraught about it. And I was like, oh, who am I going to go to help for? Like, who am I gonna ask for help for? And the help that they gave me was like, oh, just take this Adderall, you'll be fine. I ended up having like a crazy panic attack and like anxiety attack. Like, it just wasn't good for me because like I'm an all natural person in general, so like synthetic things really impact me in a negative way. That made me like reevaluate my friendships, because I was like, if this person really knew me, they would know that's not gonna help me. Where I like really needed help in that moment, and then I realized I had friends around me that couldn't help me. So
I get it. Live and learn. Well, I feel like you had a lot. Do you have any money tips?
Always be thankful when you do spend, and when you do like make money. Don't forget to be thankful.
Be thankful. Got it. I love that. All right, moving on to our second topic of the day, which is education.
Oh, okay.
What is education? What does it mean?
I think for me, it's investing time in like, gaining knowledge and information.
Okay.
That allows you to develop tools, or or whatever whatever you're going after, basically, that information that you need to kind of to get you to that level of mastery, or the skill level that you kind of want to work up to.
100%. Do you think it's important for kids to go to high school, finish high school? Is it important for them to go to college? Should they care?
Should they care? Man, that's so challenging. I mean, for some kids, it can be a blessing. For me as a kid, I was blessed. School was a blessing for me. I went to small schools. Kids deserve to develop their interests. I think if there's something that they value and that they're interested in, adults should be ready to like help them, develop that skill.
Got it.
I don't know if that looks like, going to a classroom and like, wearing, I can't even imagine going to school right now. I wouldn't make it. I'm not going to lie. I'm saying I'm thankful that I'm not there and I don't have kids to put through the experience.
Okay. What would you say? What type of person were you in high school? I
guess I was Scary Spice. I have to pick someone. At that time, it was like very popular to dress up like Spice Girls. I feel like, I was like, all right, or Nerdy Spice. But if I was a Spice, I was pretty emo. I usually had like one friend named Katie. In elementary school, middle school, and high school, I had a white friend named Katie. I don't know. Listen, that was like the only one.
Okay.
But I played sports. That was really like how I got my validation, I guess, or how I make connections. It was like any kind of extra, like student government. I was like, president of student government. It's like running a project called Project Respect at the time, because I went to this pretty like wealthy, elitist private school, and then like down the street was like the poorest like school in the neighborhood that every language was like spoken and everyone was represented there, but it was also like a school with no walls, and so like I started a group on campus with my friends called Project Respect, where we would go down and mentor and work with kids from that community, because they were right down the street. We would see them every day. We might as well, go have lunch with them and and read stories to the kids, or go sledding together when it's shitty outside. Oops.
Right. Where did you go to high school?
So I went to the Wayne Fleet School in Portland, Maine. So I grew up in Portland. I was born in Portland, Maine, technically. Then I moved from 1 to 8. I lived in Philly. And then from like 8 to 18, I moved back to Maine.
What was more challenging, middle school or high school?
Middle school for sure.
Why? What were some challenges in middle school?
All of a sudden, I grew really quickly. I grew really quickly. And so for me, I was just kind of like by the time at the end of 5th grade, I was taller than my principal, And then like I entered middle school just like a giant. Like I was like, ready to like take over the school basically. And my teachers didn't feel the same way,
They weren't ready to take over?
I had authority that I did not understand or realize, just because my height, like people just assumed I was older, or like, you know, I was the leader of something, or I worked at this place or something. And I, you know, it's just a kid in middle school. So,
did you experience any like bullying, or were people pretty much just like you were the authority figure and like we're gonna listen to Des?
well, I think when I moved back to Maine for around like the end of elementary school and like middle school, bullying, it wasn't really bullying, but it was like, I mean, I lived in the whitest state. So at that time, there was just like no one else who was Black, really. So that was just strange. It was like very strange to come back here and be like, Mom, why? Why are we here? She's like, not all the Black people can move away.
Not all the Black people.
I mean, I moved back here just recently for 2020, basically. 2020 is like the 200-year anniversary of Portland, which is, you know, basically the 200-year anniversary of when Portland became white, you know? Or it was Wabanaki people here, or, you know, different Native people here, and it was pretty much indigenous or Black history. Now it's like, you know, so as a kid, I mean, I didn't understand any of that. So kind of like landing in the middle of that and just like wondering like, hey, why am I the only one, or whatever, whatever the case might be. I just, you know, it didn't land for me. And I wouldn't say I was bullied, but I just isolated. I didn't really, you know, I didn't identify with the people around me, and I would participate in activities or like, you know, but my parents had to pay me, you know. They were like, kid, you got to make it through school so you don't go to jail, you know. We'll pay you for every A you bring home. I was bringing home A's every day. Once they started paying me, I was like, all right, school, I'm good at it. I'm good.
Well, how would you so I can imagine there's other kids going through the same thing that you might have went through growing up, just like having a huge growth spurt and just being isolated. How did you deal with it?
Well, I think you have to embrace it and really be bold. I think, you know, it's, as a kid, it sucks. I mean, you know, even kids are criminalized, but in a way, I mean, you have the opportunity to take more chances than ever. And I just feel like, you know, there's no real reason to like hold back, especially when it comes to like what you are feeling and like who you need to know that, or, you know, I just think it's easy to like hide or whatever you think like makes you different, or to try to minimize it or whatever. And it's like, you know, instead I was just like, hey, I was just pretty ridiculous about it. I was just like, you know.
Oh my God, Des, I love you. That's so amazing. Like, how about like a 90-day plan? Let's say a kid, it's the start of their like 6th or 7th grade, and then that summer they have like grew like 7 inches. You know, what is their 90-day plan? How do they deal with?
Okay, I got you. Start the day like this every morning. You look at yourself in the mirror, put on your favorite song, and then you dance and you say how fucking awesome you are. Oops, how amazing you are. How amazing you are, and how much you love yourself. And then you say, whatever it is that you hate about yourself, just say, I love my, like, at that time I was like, man, I hate my big butt. Like, I love my big butt. Like, at that time I was like, I hate how tall I am. I was like, I love how tall I am. I love, you know, and then you mantra it every single day. I think that's a good start, you know, if you're going to do, 21 days, start affirming yourself, whatever. I think that would just be like the plan, to just wake up and have a routine, have a ritual for affirming yourself. You know, I think people have the luxury of like looking at you or seeing you, just like seeing you naturally. Like, it's rare. Unless you're like in the mirror all day, you don't really get to see yourself and how awesome you are. And you should spend some time on that.
100% agree. 100% agree. What do you think are some of the challenges that the youth are facing today?
I think that's really the main one, this idea of seeing others more than they see themselves. And like, I think that, you know, just that idea of really like getting to see who you are and appreciate who you are without comparing or having to compete with anyone. That, no matter what, being able to make time to reflect and see yourself. I think that's the space of reflection. It's kind of forgotten about, you know, you're going from one extreme to the next without stopping, pausing, you know, taking that time to be grateful, to like look at what you've done, appreciate the thing. Yeah, just spend some time on yourself.
Got it. Spending time on yourself. I think I remember you saying that you used to teach at a Montessori. You used to be a teacher.
I mean, yeah, I've been a teacher, but I've taught at like every level. I really meet students at the most vulnerable times, which I think is early learning, after school, vacations, things like that.
Yeah.
So that's usually the space that I find myself in the classroom, coaching,
What do you think are some struggles that teachers go through?
Emotional labor, teachers have to, yeah, you have to really love your student. You have to renew your spirit and affection for them daily. I think a lot of, and that can be really hard. Sometimes people just want to like stay stuck in their stuff. And, but, because for me as a teacher, I mean, like, there was one kid that I struggled so hard. He just challenged me every day, and I couldn't figure out why. Just whatever he could do, he was so small. He's like 4. He's like a little kid. He used to try to like beat me up. He used to like try to attack me, and then like he would just get triggered and he would like have a tantrum or like, I just never knew when he was gonna go off. But he loved to challenge me. Like he had to either be right next to me or he had to be like the first in line or he had to be like the first to do something or he would like get really pissed off. And I'd be like, all right. I started to just like be so mad in the moment. And then I was like, wait. I'm smarter than him. He's just a kid. He doesn't know anything. Let me just, where do I find joy with him right now? And I was like, when's your birthday? I was like, hey, when's your birthday? And he's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, oh. I was like, you don't even know your own birthday? I was like, oh, no. Let's get over to the chart and look through your file and see when your birthday is, because I need to understand you fully now.
Right.
Fighting one day, and so now we like run off and like now we're on a mission together and figure out when his birthday is. And I whip out the book and I'm like looking and I like scroll down. I like get down there and I look at. Of course, his birthday is the day before mine. Of course, your birthday is one day before my birthday. Like, I just felt like he just always had to be one step ahead of me. Like, what? You know what I mean? It's just like so interesting. And then like after that moment of looking up his birthday and just like realizing who, just like, now I know why this spirit is in my life and what they're here to teach me right now. And I think oftentimes, like with, especially as an educator, when you're not liking something in a kid, it reveals something about yourself. It might be something that you don't feel like looking at in the moment. That's challenging. There's no way that you can spend time with a kid every day and not love them deeply, not be like deeply connected to them. And I think that if you lose touch with that as an educator, you gotta love the kids that you spend time with every day. And that's just
what was the lesson that he taught you?
1, to be observant. And 2, not to fight with myself or anyone else. You know what I mean? I was just like, this kid, I think, and always in every moment to just like find the thing that can connect you to that person. That your joy comes through not just like pursuing it relentlessly and like directly, but also helping whoever's around you find their joy too. Because if you don't, it's just so much harder.
So much great educational advice from an educator. Well, moving on to the last topic of the day, which is love. Probably one of my most favorite topics. Tell us, what is love?
All right. I think that's like the vibrational energy that we want to tap into to stay healthy. Love is just like this mysterious emotional body that it's the I don't know part. It's the I don't know part. It's like the unknown. Okay. That's the space for love.
Got it. Well, who was your first love?
Man, I want to say music and like having a musical friendship as a kid. I just like remember having someone who I used to sing with, and music has always been. I feel like that's my first loving relationship, and also I feel like that's how you tap into the vibration of love.
I love that. That is great. What would you say, what's your relationship with your parents like?
She drives me crazy, She's like really, she's so special. When I first left for college, I mean, she did not want me to go to college. She wanted me to stay as close as possible. She's like, definitely don't go to LA. She's like, you'll become like, your name is Desiree, desire, basically. You don't know what you'll become out there. I was just like, Mom, chill, okay? Chill. And she would call me every day, and she'd be like, if I didn't answer, she'd leave me a message. And I remember this distinctly. And she would sing, I don't even know who sings this song, and this is gonna be terrible. This is how the voicemail will sound. All by myself, don't wanna be. And I could just see her like being like this, all by like singing through her hands as she like, just all the drama that you can put into a voicemail. My mom would leave that for me to find and beg me to like, come back from college with a husband and children and be with her. She's like, bring my grandbabies. I'm like, what? This is not what I came to college for. It's like, oh, come on, I'm like, no, I went to college so that I might never have to have a husband or babies. I mean, she's just like, she's like my best friend. She really is. She had me like when she was really young, probably 18. So my dad is like someone who I've had like a harder relationship with, but he also gave me my space so that realizing that I'm the oldest and that I'm the boss in the family. I didn't realize this. There's a lot of people that look up to me. I've always been a leader ever since I was a kid. We're not very close, but when we are together, it's like, we're working on things together. We're fixing, he's like the kind of dad who like, he did come to all my basketball games, but he saved every time I was in the paper or like, whatever, then like gave it to me in a bunch of letters on my birthday. Like, hey, I'm sorry that I couldn't do all this, but here's this, cause I can do this. And he's the one who's really challenging me to like, really be the boss of the family. All the hard, challenging things,
And you have siblings?
2 younger brothers, so yeah, and my 2 younger brothers, they've revealed so much to me about how, when I was younger, I didn't realize how much they look up to me, how much, and I, they were at all my games, making me signs and things like that, and then to say, once we were older, like, Des, I really look up to you, like, or I remember this, or I remember you signing my permission slips and, poor grades when I needed something signed out on or whatever. They were like, I'd be like, I did that? I was like, really? He's like, I'm like, thanks for reminding me, brother. Like, I was like, I was doing that, yeah.
I love that. That's great. A lot of kids in school, they have a hard time communicating with their parents, whether that be their dad or their mom. How would people go about that to communicate? Did you have a hard time communicating with your dad back in when you were in high school or middle school?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. It was like hard to get a hold of him. Same thing with my mom. My mom was like, busy working, so this idea of like my parents just being like really super busy. So that was definitely hard for me, but it also, it's just like, all right, I gotta take matters into my own hands. I really gotta see, check out what my brothers need. Like, let's go. I didn't know any other way. Try to be nice to them. Like, try not to be bitter. Try not to like, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like we're sometimes especially when it comes to matters of the heart or emotion, it's not really good to like go after it in the moment or directly, Sometimes you write a letter, put it in a bottle and drown it, sorry, and like drown the bottle with all the things in it instead of, there's a lot of ways to go after the emotional ickiness without being direct and heated in the moment and maybe escalating things. And for me in family, I feel like, I had hard times with my mom, with those hard moments with my mom where, I wasn't an adult yet, but I was still like working and doing things. And like, sometimes, hey, you say what you need to say, or you put it, whatever you need to do, like write it down, burn it up. Sometimes parents aren't there, or, or you lose them early. And like, and even that, I think, it's like layers of grief, because I saw my dad as a young man, like he used to lose his mom really early, and like, how that changed him. But I didn't understand at the time, and now I'm old enough to reflect and like find that place of compassion.
Right. Sounds like a lot. What would you say are two defining moments in your life, and how do they impact you?
Man, my first fight. I was a kid, probably like I was still living in Philly, so I was probably like 8 or something like that. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I said, but this next thing I know, after school, I have a gang of boys surrounding me, and I'm like, oh shoot, like I don't know what I was like, man. I mean, like I knew that maybe he didn't like me, or that maybe I had embarrassed him in class, but I just didn't think it was gonna go down like this. You know what I mean? And I found myself surrounded by a bunch of guys. I mean, we're in elementary school, mind you. And so I kind of like looked at the guy who I focused in on the guy who I knew had a problem with me. And in the moment, I was just like, all right, how am I going to get out of this? I've never even been in a fight before. I don't even know what I'm doing. This idea of focusing all of my energy in one place. So I just went after him. I was like, all right, he's the one who wants me. I'm going for him. And of course, he was the weakest link. And I just took him down really quick and just fled the circle. I was like, I'm out of here. No, like, this is it for me. Yeah, and then I think definitely getting into college for sure. Was a senior in high school. I was just lost a championship basketball game. I was in that space where I just lost like this really important game, and I was like thinking about what basketball meant to me, and then receiving an acceptance letter to school that was like an academic scholarship. Not really the school that I wanted to. I didn't really have any desire to go to college, basically. But at the same time, I applied. I went through the motions. I still just like did the things. And then I got the letter on that day that I happened to lose that game. And I was just like, great, you know what? I'm gonna change the direction of my life. You know what I mean? Like I'm done with sports. I'm not passionate about it. And now I'm gonna follow what I am passionate about, or try to find a way to more ways to be my true authentic self.
What college did you go to?
I went to St. John's University in Queens, which was a huge basketball. We were playing at the Garden and stuff at that time. I would not have made it. I don't think I would have made it on the team. I don't know.
Did you try?
No, I didn't even try. I was like that day, I was like done with basketball. I started coaching, actually. I coached at the Champions Club in Queens, and then I coached at Bronx Preparatory Charter School.
Oh my gosh, Des, thank you for sharing so much. Do you just to kind of finish it up and wrap it up then, I loved hearing your stories today. What are 2 pieces of life advice you have for the youth?
2 pieces of life advice for the youth. Man, there's so many pieces of life advice, but I think the main thing is always trusting yourself and like living in your own personal integrity. I think that, this idea that you know best. I mean, I don't think too many people as a kid will tell you that, when you're younger. I mean, I know when I was 22, more than anything, yeah, I wanted someone right away to believe in, to really trust in me, to really invest in me at that time, because you are kind of like, at the height of, of success. It's like getting out of college, I graduated, I've made it to the point where I'm finally considered an adult. Like I can do all the adult things. I think that, really just even before that point, just like always believing in the fact that what's best for you. You can always go your own way. And, that's not going to be perfect, but as long as you're acting with intention and integrity, you really can't go wrong. And that's not selfish. It's like, you got to take care of yourself first. You got to put that mask on first, take care of yourself, and you're good.
Got it. Taking care of yourself. So
some advice, I don't know. That's kind of like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Trust yourself, integrity. Yeah.
Trust yourself and integrity. What does integrity mean? Can you define that for kids who don't know?
Like taking that personal responsibility. It's like, yeah, you can recycle, or you could take that bottle, that you got that drink in, and you could like do something with it. Or you could not buy that thing because you're not going to do anything with it. For me, that's personal integrity. Don't just throw it in the trash and think, oh, it's going to go where it's supposed to go. It's like, you know, actually don't make that trash.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I think so.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. All right, well, guys, before I forget, 88 Real Estate Media is looking for members to join the oversight committee to build the best kung fu school in the world. If you would like to join, more information, hit us up. Other than that, Des, do you have any last words? Where can people find you?
Man, I don't have any last words. I mean, other than I love you. I love you all, anyone who's listening to this. And yeah, thank you so much for having me here and inviting me to, you know, share some of myself with you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.